Florida's Republican Governor Rick Scott says that Florida's voter purge is aimed at clearing registration rolls of non-citizens. Critics say it's nothing more than an effort to disenfranchise poor and minority voters who tend to vote Democratic in a state where a small number of ballots can swing a presidential race, as we have seen in 2000 and since. And Democratic National Committee Chairwoman and Florida Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz pointed this out yesterday.
This has been an insidious attempt to deliberately prevent groups of voters that were more likely to go to the polls and vote for Barack Obama and Democratic candidates from actually getting to the polls and doing that. And so the Republicans know that they can't win this election on the merits.
Last week, a federal judge sided with the opposition, issuing a preliminary injunction blocking parts of the measure. Joining me now from Florida is the Miami Herald's Mark Caputo. Mark, thanks so much. Can you take us through this? Because the Miami Herald has done a lot of work on this. And what have you seen when you looked at the numbers of people who were purged from the rolls? What percentage or what numbers of those people actually were non-citizens?
Well, let's just start with early on, the state identified about 180,000 potential non-citizens, and then did a lot of homework and whittled that list down to about 2,700, a little more than 2,600. It then sent those out to the counties, and of those potential non-citizens, about 1,600 are here in the Miami area. So we looked at the numbers, and we found that 58% of those people, of the 2,700 potential non-citizens, again, 58% were Hispanic. They also tended overwhelmingly or disproportionately to be independent voters, no party affiliation voters. The least likely to be on the list were Republicans and non-Hispanic whites. So when you look at the statistics, you can see why people walk away with the idea that it's kind of racially or ethnically motivated. But this is what happens when you go after non-citizens. You go after non-citizens, you go after immigrants, and Florida's largest immigrant group happen to be Hispanics, and they're disproportionately registering as independents, and this is the situation we're in. But right now, only 13 people have really been purged, and those are people who actually admitted, who said to the county of Miami-Dade, hey, I'm a non-citizen, take me off the list. And of those 13, by the way, 2 might have voted, and the state attorney's office here is looking into those cases.
So, Mark, the bottom line is that there's so little evidence of real fraud. How do the proponents of this justify it, based on the argument that they've got to clean up the voting rolls?
Well, they justify it by this, is that if you're a non-citizen, you're not supposed to be on the voter rolls. And so all they're trying to do is kind of get rid of the non-citizens. Obviously, the problem is that the state used an outdated database or a not so up-to-date database to do this search, in part because the federal government denied them access to one that was updated. And when the state did its checking, they found that, or when the local media and the local supervisor did the checking, they found overwhelmingly that most of the people so far on the list are actual citizens and lawful voters. So the numbers here in Miami-Dade, of the 1,600, 13 have been shown to be non-citizens. More, or about 500, have been shown to be actual citizens and lawful voters. And so
we don't know how many
this is a problem for the governor.
But you don't know how many people are dissuaded from voting just by all of the rigmarole involved. So it really does become an issue of voter suppression. So what is the next step legally? Because there was an injunction, a preliminary injunction we've been reporting against part of the law, but not all of the law. What is the next legal move?
Well, we actually have 2 separate voting controversies here. I know you'd find that tough to believe. One is a law regarding voter registration. Yeah, Florida, as Tim Russert said. One of the problems is the law, the voter registration law that was passed the spring before last. That's the one that on Thursday a judge basically stayed. He stopped regarding cracking down on voter registration groups. Then you have the separate issue of the non-citizen or potential non-citizen voter hunt or voter purge. Also on Thursday, the Department of Justice weighed in and told the state of Florida, look, knock it off. You don't have enough time to do this. You're within a window of time, 90 days within a federal election, where you can't do this anymore. So where we are right now is we're waiting for the state to respond to DOJ. That'll either happen today or tomorrow, and we might have an elections fight on our hands just related to that. We'll have to wait and see.
As long as we don't have any butterfly ballots, but please let us know, keep us honest on this, and we'll look forward to your next report.
Well, Florida outlawed the butterfly ballots and the punch cards a while ago. Yeah.
I was just being facetious. Thank you very much, Mark Caputo. Thanks for all of that.